Alright, here's a somewhat scuffed tutorial on how to use this model. I build my models all similarly, but it might be different from what you originally had. Let's see. I've never really tinkered with any of these things. They have new advanced lip sync. Tracking. I'm sure you've used VTube Studio probably. But in the tracking menu, this is where you would choose your webcam and tracking quality, camera on, camera off. We don't really need, let me turn this off. We don't need hand tracking, so let's just do only face tracking. That way, come back. Okay, thank you. That way we won't waste your GPU or CPU. You can tinker with these options here. Lower and raise the blink sensitivity. Let me take my hat off. I'll just leave them kind of as they are. I'll just leave them at the default, but you can tinker with these. I've never messed with any of these other options, so I will just go on to the things that I have physically rigged into this model. Alrighty. So one thing that is rigged into him is now he does little steppies when you look left and right. He can do little steppies. Let's see. He has an idle animation for when tracking is lost. So let me close my webcam. There you go. So when the camera's not detecting your face, he'll just go to sleep. So like if you got up from your desk and wandered off, he'll fall asleep. And this animation plays for 30 seconds, then he'll wake up, and then it'll loop again. But then once it detects your face, it'll just go back to tracking. Movement config. He kind of like floats around the space. You can turn that off if you want his feet to stay like, planted where he's at. So he won't like float around. But this is good for like when you're like at the bottom and you just want some extra movement. You can also limit the amount of movement. Or if you just want him to only use the tracked movement, you can just turn the movement config off. I'll leave it off for now, but I'll probably turn it back on. Physics strength. You can make them go really bananas, but generally just leaving them at the default is fine. Alright, so this is the actual like input is what the camera sees. So if the camera, this software is programmed so that face angle X is when I look to my left or to my right. So that is the input. Let's say for some reason you have limited neck mobility. You can only look left and right like about an inch. So like this rather than this. You can reduce this value to like, I don't know, 10, negative 10. That way, if I barely move my head, it shoots out further. I'm going to set this back to the default. Generally, for most folks, the default's fine. But you can tinker with some of these options depending on like your lighting. So like I open, generally should be okay. The max I have set to 1.9. That just kind of helps the model blink. You can set it to 1. But if it has a hard time like tracking your eyes, you can always raise it to 1.9, or that just kind of makes it snap faster, that the blink goes faster. I smile, I X. I don't think you'll need to tinker with any of those. I think the main one you might want to tinker with is possibly body Z rotation, which is this movement when you put your ear onto your shoulder. If you don't want him to rotate this far, you can reduce the output to like half of what it is. So I'll just set it to 5. That way he's only going like half of the amount of movement that is physically rigged into the model. So you can limit. Let's say I rigged the, he leans too far, it's too extreme. You can come in here and reduce the value. Or you can do it like a little bit on one side and then more on the other. So for example, if I was in this corner, but I don't want him to like lean out of the screen, having this set to -5 works, but then I want him to be able to lean really far this way. 10 is good, but I will go ahead and leave these at the default as well. Let's see. And I have things organized in little folders, so most of what you might want to tinker with will be under custom. And these are functions like making the eyelids look a bit more surprised. So for example, The input is your brow left Y. Y refers to the vertical position of your eyebrow, whether it's down or up. So if I were to raise the eyebrows, you'll notice that this upper portion of the eyelid lifts. That is part of this parameter, eye form surprise. Its sole function is to widen the eye shape. And you'll notice the pupil's also shrinking a little bit. That is another parameter that is its only purpose is to shrink the pupil. And that is also set to the brow Y. So like when the eyebrow is lifted, the pupils start to shrink. And if you don't like that, you can just delete this, or you can just set the output to 0, and then the pupils won't shrink at all. If you want them to shrink way more, you can set it to the max, which is 1. And then this really depends on like your personal eyebrow movement. I have very animated eyebrows. I can stretch my eyebrows pretty high, so that's what all of this is based on. And then we have brow eye form anger. So this is based on the brow like that is detected. I think it's like the shape of your eyebrow. But basically when my eyebrows kind of like go down and look angry, it kind of makes this upper eyelid go down. And then we should have smile, GGG. So this is, the input is mouth smile. So like when your mouth smiles, you'll notice that the lower eyelid goes up. This going up is eye form GGG. The only function that parameter does is curve the lower eyelid so that when you smile, he looks a little more expressive. If you feel like that's too much, you can reduce it to like 0.2, maybe even 0.1. Or you can set it to the max, or you could set it to 0 so that when you smile, it doesn't really do anything. As for the actual mouth forms, the beak is very limited in the forms it has. It has a very subtle smile and very, very subtle frown, which is difficult for me to do. My webcam doesn't track frown very well. But he does have some amount of animation in just the corners of the mouth, which is why I wanted to make the eyes more expressive. Let's set this to 0.7. I'll set this to 0.5 actually. And these are the custom ones that I've added. Everything else is default, just like things, the parameters that are for base rigging of every model, basically. But if you need anything like tinkered with, or you have a question, feel free to message me anytime. Now let's go on to the hotkeys that exist in this model. I've created a bunch of hotkeys already, and I'll just show you the ones that I've created so far, and then I'll show you how they work. First we have anger, which I have set to control key plus the 1 key, and this particular hotkey, as well as most of the facial expression hotkeys, are set to stop automatically after 10 seconds. That way you can activate it, it'll stay there for 10 seconds, then it will turn itself off, so that you don't have to worry about remembering to turn it off. You can remove this if you want to turn it off, or you can do stop when key is let go. That way you have to hold those keys for the duration of the expression, and then when you let go of the keys, it'll go away. And I have them named, like which key combination I have them set to. By all means, you are very welcome to change them or even remove them. So then we have dread, which is control plus 2. Kind of like a darkening effect, and the pupils shrink like, oh god, oh no, what the heck. We have lovey, which is blushies and some hearts in the eyes. Sad, which is control 4. Kind of just like forces a more sad looking expression, just because sometimes it's hard to really get these to track. And again, all of these will end after 10 seconds. Let's do starry eyes, which is control 5. I don't have to fix that. But it's just like, ooh, shiny? I like shiny. Or like when you're excited, happy, you're just like, ooh, I'm looking at something that makes me happy. I just need to move that sparkle back over the eyelid. We have rage eyes, control 7, which turns off your default eyes and adds these this new eye artwork that's just like extra angry, like rah! Let's see. Now we have Control 8, which is sploot. Every bird needs a good sploot. So you can kind of like hunker down, and you still retain movement with sploot. So if you want to just be maybe sploot plus dread, oh no, and then go stand back up. Sploot. We have stick leaf. So, and let me actually show you the stick. Well, actually, I'll just show you the hotkeys still. So we have stick leaf, which is this default one. So if I press Control P, you won't notice anything. But we also have stick off on Control O. That turns the stick off. If you want to turn it back on, just take Control O again, or you can hit. Oh wait, no, yeah, you'll have to hit Control O. And then stick is just the stick without the leaves. Oh, and then there's also one that I have to add, actually. Let me add that. This is going to be stick autumn. I'll put it on Control plus U. I'm going to put this in arm poses. Hotkey action. We want to set an expression. And it's going to be stick. Where's stick autumn? Is it not in here? Okay, it's not in here. So I'll show you how to create that because it does exist in this model. But first, let me show you the rest of the hotkeys. Stick. So wings both up. This is, if you press F1, this is just, it turns on the parameter that lifts the wings and lifts them up. You can press F2, does the same thing but down. And you can press F1 and then F2 back and forth if you want to like manually kind of move your own wings a little bit. And then you can turn those off by just pressing the last one you press. We have F3, which only opens the left wing. Like if you wanted to like gesture or something with your left arm. We have F4, which gestures with the right wing. And for the wing poses, these ones don't turn off automatically. So these are persistent, but you can, if you want them to turn off after 10 seconds, just go in here and do stop after 10. So that's the wing up. Wing. We have animation wing flap, which just kind of flaps the wings. We have boop on F6. Boop. So your viewers can give you a boop. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and remove the fade on this. Let's do it now, F6. Better. Okay. We have bonk, which is F7. People can give you a bonk. Then we have turbo bonk, which is just many bonks. We have head pat, which is F9. Control 0 will reset your model back to the default. And then F10, we have like a flying animation, which does vertically lift your model up. So here's F10. He like physically goes up. So if you're zoomed in really close, he'll probably fly out of the screen. If you want me to reduce the amount of vertical, I can do that. So he doesn't accidentally fly out of the screen. And then we have a little tail waggle because sometimes birds do that. And now let me show you how to create this expression, because you can create your own expressions here in VTube Studio, which is how I make them. I create the parameters, but then I'll actually make the hotkeys in here. So right now we're going to make this stick autumn one because I don't have that one anymore. I accidentally deleted it. So let's do create new expression. I'm going to name this stick underscore autumn. Doesn't matter what you name them. I just try to name them so that in a certain way so they'll be alphabetized in my files, but it doesn't matter. And so for the stick, you have a stick style parameter, which is by default, the 0 is the regular stick. Up to like, here is like the autumn stick. Here is no leaf on here. That way you can pin objects to it if you want. The further, and then like about 0.4, we've got a cherry blossom stick. And then Everything past this is empty. So if you want me to, like, if you physically draw new sticks and you want me to physically rig them into your model, we've got some space here to do that, and then I'll leave the end where the stick is off. So that's how the stick, everything is controlled by just this one parameter. And let's see. And now I've organized everything kind of with like an empty parameter that with stars. It just says these are the hotkeys. And then everything under here is for the brows and eyes. And everything under here is a tracked function. And then everything under here are parameters that are used for animations. So you probably won't need to mess with anything under animations, but you can if you want. Oh wait, let's create our stick autumn really quick. So let me put it on the fall leaf. Let's hit save. Okay, and now I'm gonna go down and add it to this created hotkey function. I'm gonna scroll down to stick autumn. I'm gonna set this on Control U. Then I'm gonna hit Control U. Now we have the autumn stick. Yeah. Let's see what else. Oh, but let me show you just like an example of creating expressions. Or if you want to know like what functions are rigged into your model, you can use the expression editor and create new expression to just view every rigged function in your model. So for example, oh, stick style, what's that do? Oh, it does these things. Sploot, what's that do? That way you can, like, if you reference these things, like rage eye, oh, that's what that is. Kira is the sparkle. Kokoro is the heart. Cheek, blush, dread. And you can mix and combine expressions. For example, we have just the dread, but then I can also turn the shocked eye on. And then you can save this as like horrified. Expression horrified. And then you can hit save. And then you can set that to a hotkey. So you can mix and match expressions. You can do just the vein, or you can do the vein with the rage eyes. And you'll notice I still have eyebrow movement. But if you want to force the eyebrows to look angry, you can go under track parameters and look at the brow angle and brow form. So brow form, yeah, let's force the eyebrows to like curve downward. And let's force them to curve or to tilt their angle. And now I still have brow Y, but you notice, so I'm lifting and lowering my eyebrows. If I turn these on, I'm moving my eyebrows, but they're not tracked because their position is now fixed as a forced hotkey. So let's get rid of all these. So you can mix and match expressions. So like if you have trouble making your model wink, let me turn this off. Like you can physically set that to a hotkey instead, so you can just. Oh, well, the left and right eye will be separated. I haven't done that yet, but you can set just the left eye to blink. That way you can create a wink here. Let's see, what else do we need? These are all physics. Oh, except for the wing. I need to move these under animatable. So here's wing flap. Then you'll notice it doesn't do anything because we're not seeing the swapped wings. So the wing swap does this, it switches from the closed wing to the open wing, and then it spreads open. So if you wanted his wings to stay a little closed, you could just set it to this and save that. Wing flap controls like the shoulder movement. And then the wrist movement, well, what I call the wrist, is physics-based. That way the wing kind of splays. Or you can do the same with just this. So you can set your wings to just be open only a little bit if you want. These physics need to be set. These need to be moved under animatable. So like tail waggle, if for some reason you wanted his tail to tilt to the side, you can set this as a hotkey. Bonk is an animation. Oh wait, that's the bonk movement. We need bonk on to turn that hammer on. And then this parameter controls the actual like bonk rotation. These are for animations, so I doubt you'll need these. And yeah, because I had to create a bunch of movement to create that animation, we have a bunch of different, like, the star kind of flings and it can spin. The hammer squishes. So these are all for an animation, so you probably won't need to mess with any of these. Boop. Oh, and you need to turn boop on, and then this is just like the boop function. But again, you won't need any of these. You can manually move your model up and down. This is used as part of animation, so you don't really need to use this. And then we have toes flex, which is also used for an animation, so you won't need to mess with any of that. But if you think, oh man, I wish my model had a parameter that did this thing, just tell me and I can add it in. So yeah, the most intricate one so far is the stick. You've got 3 different, or technically 4, because we have the no leaf stick styles. Or you can turn them off and draw your own sticks and attach it using the pin items function. I try to make my models pretty modular. That does make them a little more like overwhelming, but I try to go ahead and set everything up for you. And then this is a lot of hotkeys, but I have everything organized in little folders. Oh, close, please. So you can just click, okay, I only want to see the facial expressions. Bam. Or you only want to see like the wing or arm movement. We've got, or I guess these are poses in general, so it's like the sploot, the sticks, and then the wings. So this is all everything that's like the arms. Or you just want to see the animations. You can click animations, and then these are all the animations that you have. And then if you just want to see everything again, you can close that. I think that's it as a kind of basic tutorial. Definitely, if you're having trouble getting the mouth to open, you can scroll. Go ahead and like raise the mouth sensitivity if you want, because if you move it really low, then his mouth barely opens. But or you can look into watching videos that do the microphone-based mouth open. But that's more of like a end user thing that I haven't learned a whole lot about. I mostly just make the models and shove them in here, and then I just kind of figure things out from there. Oh, and one thing you also notice, when you turn to the right, his body moves to the left. That's all physics-based movement. I can change that down. All right, I think that's everything for this one. If you have any questions, just let me know. And if I need to like adjust the model, like I added these feathers. I was trying to make them look kind of shiny, but I can easily just hide that layer and we can get rid of it because that may not match the cartoony style you're wanting. But yeah, if you have any questions, just let me know.